Sat Sri Akal, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We're going to give people a couple more minutes to join the session, and we'll be starting shortly. Thank you. Sat Sri Akal. My name is Priya Kumar, and I'm a member of the Skagit Valley College South Asian Student Club. I'd like to thank Harry, who will be translating for us today. Please note that this event will be recorded. I would like to acknowledge and express gratitude to the Skagit and Coast Salish people whose lands we occupy and continue to benefit from. The South Asian Student Club, in collaboration with the Black Student Union and the Association of Students at Skagit Valley College, is honored to host this evening's event in solidarity with our Sikh community who lost 4 community members in the recent mass shooting in Indianapolis. Looks like Harry got kicked out, maybe. To help us situate this event within its broader political and historical context, we have Satpal, Sidhu and Jagmit, Kaur, Dhami. Satpal Sidhu served 5 years as a member of the Whatcom County Council and is currently serving his first term as Whatcom County Executive. Sidhu is a Fulbright scholar and holds a bachelor's in electrical engineering and an MBA. His past professional experience includes work as an engineer, project manager, business executive, educator, and small business owner. He was recognized by 2 Washington state governors for his achievements in workforce development as Dean of Engineering and Trades at Bellingham Technical College.
Sorry, I was having computer problems. ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਸ਼ੁਕਰੀਆ ਜਾਣ ਲਈ ਇਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਰਿਕਾਰਡ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਆ ਇਹ ਸਾਊਥ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟ ਐਸੋਸੀਏਸ਼ਨ ਕਲੱਬ the Black Student Association and the Association of Students at Skagit Valley College host ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਜੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਣੇ 4 ਸਿੱਖ ਭਾਈ ਭੈਣ ਮਾਰੇ ਗਏ Indianapolis ਦੀ ਸ਼ੂਟਿੰਗ 'ਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਥੈਂਕ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਸਤਪਾਲ ਸਿੱਧੂ ਤੇ ਜਗਮੀਤ ਕੌਰ ਧਾਮੀ ਦਾ ਸਤਪਾਲ ਸਿੱਧੂ ਜੀ ਨੇ 5 ਸਾਲ ਵਾਟਕਮ ਕਾਉਂਟੀ ਕਾਉਂਸਲ ਦੇ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਜੀ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲੇ ਇਲੈਕਟ੍ਰੀਕਲ ਇੰਜੀਨੀਅਰਿੰਗ ਦੀ ਡਿਗਰੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ MBA ਵੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਜੀ ਇਹ ਕਰੰਟਲੀ 2 Washington state governors ਨੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ achievements ਨੂੰ recognize ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ
Jagmit Kaur Dhami graduated from Occidental College with a bachelor's in politics. She is one of the co-founders of the Bellingham Sikh Youth Initiative, which was created in response to the farmers' protests in India. Inspired and informed by her parents' life as Punjabi Sikh immigrants and the empathy and resilience of her community, she aims to build strategies to shift power structures to uplift communities of color. Currently, she is the coordinator of community programs at Occidental College, where she maintains and builds reciprocal relationships between students, faculty, and community partners around community-based projects. Now we will have a presentation by Satpal Sidhu and Jagmit Kaur Dhami, followed by a 10-minute Q&A. So please feel free to type any questions that arise in the chat box. Please direct your questions to me, Priya Kumar.
May I make a suggestion? I think that we were expecting that there will be a lot of Punjabi participants who do not know English. And that's why, Harry, thank you very much for being the dual language interpreter. But I think the people who are in the meeting today they all understand English. So because it takes a lot of time because of the limited time we have, maybe we can not do the translation unless they were, like we were expecting there were maybe a lot of people who do not understand English who are from Punjabi community, but I don't see very many people. So that's my suggestion.
I think that sounds good.
Okay, well, great. Thank you for those introductions, Priya and Harry. Thank you for having us here today, Dr. Lunath and the Skagit Valley College. I did want to share my gratitude to you all who are participating today as audience members, but also share our gratitude for standing in solidarity with us during this time and building community. And before we get into our presentation, I'm going to share my screen really quickly, but I do want to take a moment of silence before we begin our presentation. We want to acknowledge the lives lost in Indianapolis just a couple of weeks ago, 4 of them being of the Sikh community. And of course, all our we mourn the loss of all lives, and we would like to take a second, just a minute, if people are comfortable turning off their video, just sit in reflection for a minute, cover your heads, and just acknowledge the loss of life before we begin this presentation. Thank you. And as we feel comfortable, if people want to turn their videos back on, please feel free. Well, again, thank you all for joining us today. It's really, it's just a great space to be in, to really share with one another our loss, but also share in community building and community solidarity. And before we begin the full presentation, I would like to show a small clip of the documentary We Are Not Strangers that was filmed here in Bellingham, and it gives insight into what the Sikh Punjabi experience was right when we came to the US and when we came to America in 1907. So this will be about 3 minutes.
I guess I've always had an interest in things that not too many people know about. It's like every time I look at newspapers and other sources, I find hidden pieces of a puzzle. And the economic situation, the social situation was really one of boom and bust in Bellingham. Some of the largest lumber mills in the world were in Bellingham in the 1906 to 1907 period. There were a number of sawmills employing hundreds and hundreds of workers. We think there were at least 200 Punjabis who were working in Bellingham at the time. As best as I know, the first Sikhs who came to British Columbia came around 1906. Shortly thereafter, they started crossing the border, seeking better jobs in Washington state. Sikhs were presented in the press first as curiosities, as kind of strange, peculiar individuals. They went from portraying them as exotic and strange to be kind of despicable.
100 years ago, they were given only one side of the picture. These people are taking away our jobs, they're filthy, they're dirty, they will drain our economy.
There was no competition with newspapers. That was the only media that people had. I think they shaped opinion in a very powerful way. They were called Hindus, and this idea that there are hundreds of thousands who might be coming to the Pacific coast through Canada was seen as something to be feared. It's kind of debatable what really happened because we don't really know the side of the story of the Punjabi Sikhs. Nobody was killed. There were only 9 policemen on duty in the whole city of 30,000 in Bellingham.
A mob gathers and starts walking towards the place where the Sikhs live on these lettered streets in Bellingham. These people split and surround some of these homes, and they start yelling. And the Sikhs inside their homes are scared.
Okay, well, this video shows us the first experience of Sikhs in America. And what we really want to acknowledge and question are, who are the Sikhs? I feel like that has been a question for about 110 years since we've been here, from the 1907 to now in 2021. Why are we still asking those questions? But also, how can we learn together and live together in order to make the Sikh experience in America not as invisible anymore? And just to start with the question, who are the Sikhs, and getting a sense of what is the Americans, their opinions and how we live in the US, is to acknowledge that there's a lot of invisibility. Around 60% of Americans admit to knowing nothing about Sikh Americans, when compared to 76% who say they know at least something about Muslim Americans and 86% who know something about Jewish Americans. And this is despite the numbers of 25 million estimated Sikhs worldwide, making them the 5th largest religion in the world and one of the largest organized religions in the world. In addition to that, there's a number of 1 in 10 Americans, when they see a photo of a Sikh, what do they see? They don't see an equal, unfortunately. They see someone that is not a same class citizen. So when we have all this put together, it affects how we live, how the Sikhs live in America, how are they viewed, and how what actions are taken against them. And this results in historical invisible racism that we face here in the US, and it really manifests in these violent white supremacist attacks. As we see in the Indianapolis shooting, the facts are that 4 out of the 8 employees were killed were Sikh, and 90% of the employees of the FedEx facility were Sikh. But despite those facts from the very beginning, the FBI did not initially investigate this crime as a hate crime, and it was then investigated as a hate crime after the Sikh coalition, organizations, individuals put in petitions and letters to view this as a hate crime. So knowing all these facts on what is the Sikh experience from 1907 to 2021, we need to acknowledge the 110 years of invisible racism. And we need to question what are the safe spaces for Sikhs, but even taking it a step further, how do we make safe spaces for Sikhs in this context? And a step further than that, how do we make safe spaces for all racial ethnicities in the US? But specifically within our community, we would like to raise awareness and make sure our community is protected. And just as Satpal Sidhu mentioned, like most of the people here today are not of the Sikh community, and we really appreciate having the chance to speak with you and really be in the space with you, and to give a little bit of introduction of what Sikhism is. So Sikhism is a monotheistic faith that originated in Punjab in the early 15th century. And its core is the core values of this religion is gender equality, promoting democracy, social justice, and living to serve in the pursuit of equality. And Sikhism preaches devotion and to remember God at all times, to be living truthfully, and equality between beings. And this is all portrayed in our practices, in the way that we identify physically, as we put on a lot of identifiers, physical identifiers, which I'll go through later. But with knowing that the Sikh religion is so largely organized, and is one of the youngest religions in the world, again, why is this invisibility so prominent? But to continue, just a little bit more about Sikh faith, we have what is called the 5Ks, and we have physical identifiers that we put on ourselves to remind ourselves of our faith, but also to remind others. And this includes the gara, the iron bracelet, which I have mine on, and I'm sure the rest of the Punjabi Sikh community have it on. And we put it on our right hand or our dominant hand. So whenever we do something, we are reminded of our faith and what are our core beliefs. Are we doing the right thing? Are we living truthfully? The kirpan, which is a sword, it's a sword for protection of not just ourselves, but of others if it comes to that, and self-defense, but also defending one another. Kachara, which is the long underpants for self-discipline. Kesh, which is uncut hair. We see a lot of Sikhs with long hair or covering their hair in turbans to connect with God, because that is a God-given quality, and we want to keep that spirituality. And the kanga, which is the comb, to promote cleanliness. And you see that a lot of Sikhs wear turbans as an article of faith. And a common misconception is that Muslims and Sikhs are the same because they wear the turbans. But this is to really show that we wear the turban as a reminder for ourselves to cover our hair and to be able to be identified in a crowd. Because the reason why we wear turbans is if someone is in trouble, they can identify who a Sikh is and say, this person will help me, I can go to them, and I'll get some type of aid. And in this vein, this doesn't mean that we're not Muslim, so don't think we're Muslim and don't attack us. It's this lack of an acknowledgement and a lack of knowledge around these faiths produces a toxicity in our culture against the brown community. So really thinking about how our articles of faith are a representation of our pursuit of social justice and equality, and how it has been altered in the face of Western cultures at this point. And just to touch upon our places of faith, which are the gurdwaras, where everyone, and it exemplifies our other practices as well, as we are open to everyone. Services are open to everyone. There's a community kitchen, and it is made so any person of any caste, color, race is welcome in this space, because it is a space of community and truthful living. So now that we have a little bit of understanding of what Sikhism is, and I can also answer questions as we get to the end if people have questions about that, we need to understand also how Sikh history in the US has made Sikhs be treated as the other, or not as a full citizen in the US. And this is because of laws, because of anti-Sikh riots or anti-Hindu riots, but also the treatment of Punjabi Sikhs in America also reflected in their homeland of India. So first we see in 1907, the Hindu riots. In response to economic issues, we are pushed out of Bellingham. And this is because of our faith, our race, but also because of the economic issues at the time. And in 1913, we see the rise of the Gaddar Party, which was a revolutionary party to gain independence from India, but it was actually centered here in Berkeley, California. But it was created because of the second-class citizenship that Punjabis face both in America and in the US. And as we continue in 1917, the Immigration Act, barring all immigrants from the Asia Pacific region, 1923 with Bhagat Singh versus the US, and the fight for citizenship that we did not gain despite being fighting for that right. And then after, in 1965, we then gained the right to citizenship after being in the US for about 50 years. So this Sikh history of Sikhs being in America really is a treatment of being the other until we are able to gain citizenship. And that is because of, the need for immigration in the US. But then we see a rise again post 9/11 of the rise of the brown threat. We see anti-Sikh sentiment rise, but also anti-Hindu, anti-Muslim, any really brown community is being attacked because it is felt that they do not embody the ideals of America. And with this brown threat rising, we see one of the first hate crimes post 9/11 was the attack on Balbir Singh Sodhi. And that follows us till today, to 2021. Still, this brown threat is very prominent as we see over time Oak Creek in Wisconsin, and then the rise of anti-Sikh sentiment post-Trump election. And this is shown statistically. There was about a 200% increase of anti-Sikh crimes in 2018. And hate crimes are very underreported within our community because of access, because of these issues of underrepresentation. And we are then also the third most targeted religious group in the US. So with all this knowledge of how the Sikhs are living in the US, their experience, their actual faith and what it represents, we're then here at this point of, of living still as second-class citizens, not being seen as people who deserve the rights of every American does. But in the face of that, in the face of white supremacy, in the face of this treatment, we have core beliefs and core concepts within our faith that directly attack and actively go against these ideas of white supremacy. One of them is seva, which is a central tenet to our Sikh faith, and we are taught that service to humanity is inseparable to service to God, meaning any service that we give, which includes our langar, how we operate in the world, is not anything separate from our service to God. And we feel that we give to the community without expecting anything back. That is just how it is the way to live, and to really guarantee an equitable future for future generations. Another context and another aspect of our faith is Jagmit, which is an ethos that we live by of resilience and perseverance against oppression and in the face of adversity. Knowing that if we keep the faith, we keep this ethos, we will win against this oppression because we're keeping that faith. And this is all in the context of knowing this service and this ethos will contribute to a better future, not just for our community, but for everyone in our community. And just to, in this space, what we really want to think about are actionable steps and ways we can support the Sikh community and empower our Sikh communities, because just raising awareness of who we are is not going to get us to this space of being a full acknowledged member of the American society. What we need is safe schools, which is promoting a curriculum that talks about the Sikh faith as one of the major religions, and going against discrimination that some school children face. Promoting equal opportunity employment, making sure that Sikhs are getting employed while they are still practicing their faith, preventing hate and discrimination. What this means, our local governments, our local police forces are versed in the Sikh faith and how to empower them and to protect them. Community empowerment and institution building, making sure we're investing in our Sikh organizations, we're investing in our Sikh community, and helping them build their own communities. And lastly, increasing Sikh representation. We don't have people in media very much, or we just don't have an acknowledgement of Sikhs in the US in general. And fortunately, unless there's some tragedy within our community, we need to have representation always in our achievements, in how we navigate the world, because we see that Sikhs are everywhere and they're always committed to their seva, to their service, but are not given the same type of protection and service that we give to others in this moment. So I feel that within this space, if we act intentionally and to support and empower each other, we are committing to that act of kind of revolution, of really taking a step to acknowledge these communities and talk about these issues and really find solutions. And that is the way we will be able to protect our communities, but also give the Sikh community the chance to pursue that life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness that everyone is promised in America and that we deserve as well. So I really thank you all for being in this space together with us, considering these questions, talking about our faith, and taking action to really empower our community. And I'll now hand it over to Satpal Sidhu to talk about the Punjabi Sikh community, both here and in the homeland.
Okay, can you guys hear me okay? Yeah, okay. Good evening, everybody, and we really appreciate you guys taking time off your busy, especially springtime, and gathering here with us in our prayer, as well as recognizing what happened in Indiana. And a few years back, it happened at a Oak Creek Temple in Wisconsin. And this story goes back to 1907, that some things have not changed very much. Even at that time, the biggest thing about immigrants was they take away our jobs. And what is happening 110 years later, the rhetoric is still the same. You know, these immigrants come and take the jobs. Well, it's not. They create jobs as well. We are very enterprising people. Our religion is very open. Is one of the simplest religions, really, with very few rituals. Of course, as time goes by, the rituals come in and take place. If you really read our scripture, holy book, it is very simple. And another thing unique about the Sikhism is that our holy book is not a revelation or written by somebody after somebody. And we had 10 gurus. Gurus, we all know the word guru means teacher, somebody who's expert. And so we had a succession of 10 gurus over almost 250 years. And each guru wrote his own teachings. And all the writings are in the form of poetry. There is no prose. There is no story of a king or a queen or anybody. There's some anecdotes just to illustrate a point, but there's no story, period. And the whole holy book is 1,430 pages. It's really voluminous treatise, but it's all in poetry. And the book is organized by the ragas, means that's the tunes. So I don't want to go too much in detail. And the two biggest messages is in our holy scripture is love and devotion. A lot of times they see a devotee sees that guru or the creator as the lover, or vice versa. It's all that's the whole theme is you are here for a very short period of time on this earth in this form, and spread the love. There's really no more rules. It's so simple. And the other thing is that the Sikh people by nature, by our scripture, well, we are very generous. If somebody is hungry, they will say, okay, I'll eat half, I'll give the other half to the other person who's hungry. Every temple, every Sikh temple, anywhere in the world, if you go attend, after the service, you will have a meal. Period. That's part of the tradition, and it's free meal. Like in Amritsar, our holiest place, there is we call it langar, Langar. That's our word for free kitchen. 100,000 people eat every day for last 100 some years. Every day, 365 days of the year. 100,000. In Delhi, there are 2 or 3 temples. There 50 to 70,000 people eat every day. Now, what happened in last week? That when this COVID is going on, they started oxygen langar. Means what they did, all the 6 temples, they gave the money, they bought the oxygen cylinders, and they set up just along the street a 10 or 20 connections to that oxygen cylinder with the regulators. And people are sitting in their cars or on a rickshaw, or they come out and they give them the oxygen mask. And they say, okay, you can breathe for 10 minutes and then pass it on to the next guy. And if you wait for this is the oxygen langar, 24/7, every day, they are giving out oxygen. We have collected, I think, about $10 million in the United States. I was reading the Seva International. There is a Khalsa aid from UK, and they are sending these oxygen collectors. Means, oxygen is in the air. You just have to separate the nitrogen. So they have these membranes, like a reverse osmosis thing. This is a membrane. It's a small unit, and it can serve 5-10 people. And the UPS just took a plane load yesterday to India to distribute those. I mean, this is this is one of our tenets that help others. And we don't believe in begging. You will never see a Sikh person begging anywhere in the world. You go in Punjab, where we are considered, you will never see a Sikh person begging, because we are told, you got 2 hands, 2 legs, go earn your living and share out of that. These are very basic tenets of our teaching right from when we are little. That's the kind of things. The other thing is, we are very enterprising. That that in India, I won't go to too many details. We were actually invited by England to come to Canada when the George V's coronation was happening in England. They invited a shipload of Sikh army generals and people, because we were 33% of the army. We are only 2% of the Indian population, but Sikhs are 30% of the Indian army. And many generals, they were invited. And when they were in England, when they were going back, they said, no, you guys should go to Toronto and Vancouver before you go back to India, because they knew these people are such enterprising people. They can actually populate Canada. I mean, Canada is still not very much populated, even today. So that's when, in late 1800s, that's when people came and they were asked they were given the homestead and all these kind of incentives that if you come back here, send your young people, send your people, and we will accept you. Because in that case, any person of British Dominion, you didn't need a passport. You can come to any place with the English territory. That's how people actually start coming here. And if you look at East Africa, Tanzania, South of Africa, Kenya, there were black people, there were white people, and in the middle there were brown people. And all these brown people were Sikhs and Gujaratis, Patels. These are the two people who were enterprising more than 100 years ago to pick up their family and go and settle somewhere else. The largest sugarcane factories or plantations, the largest transportation companies in all East Africa, they were all Punjabis, they were all Sikhs. I mean, after Idi Amin, things happened, but look at, we've been here in the United States since late 1800s. And so, I mean, what I'm saying is that, another example I want to give you, that when I was working, I was young at one time, and I had young kids, and people asked me at work, what do you do for Christmas? I said, we do Christmas. They said, what do you mean by that? I said, we just go get a tree, and we will get all the treats, we get all the gifts, everybody, and we do Christmas. They were surprised. I said, this is no odd for us. You have a religion, we have a holiday, why can't we have fun? It's okay to invite anybody to our home and share a meal or share their holidays. And when we were growing up, back then in Punjab, we had 1/3 Muslims, 1/3 Sikhs, 1/3 Hindus. And we lived like that for 1,000 years. So we are very accepting people of other religions. And the other thing is, we never convert anybody. That's something in our religion. We'll never ask somebody, oh, you should become a Sikh. Never. The people that our tenet is people watch you. If your values are good, they would definitely want to be like you. That's the only conversion we do, is be a good citizen and a good role model and let people follow you. So, I mean, there are more Sikhs in the world than Jewish people. A lot of people don't know that. There are more Sikhs in the world than Jewish people. So, I mean, these are some of the things. I wanted to leave more time. I think we would really welcome if you would like to ask us questions. Like a lot of times people have on mind, oh, if I get a Sikh, I can ask them this thing. So this is your chance. Please feel free, if you have seen an incident or remember something, or you ever wanted to know something, I think we would be welcome to answer any questions. I want to make it a little more interactive. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that informative presentation. Audience members, we now have some time for a Q&A. If you have any questions, please direct them to me, Priya Kumar, using the chat function. Doesn't look like we have any questions right now. The first question is, do the turbans have different meanings? For example, do the colors mean anything?
Well, of course, colors mean different things. Well, let me share you something with the two main colors. One is a white color, one is a black color. The white color is significance of all the colors together. When you take the whole rainbow, you take all the colors and you combine them, it becomes white. And we do wear a lot of white colors. And the black color. Now, black color is significance of no color. The absence of any color is black. So when you think in terms of that everybody is together, that's the significance of white color. And when you don't differentiate anything, means no, I don't believe in any color, you get black color, right? Of course, red is color of passion. Of course, saffron is color of war, as well as saffron is color of renunciation. So there are different colors. They have different meanings. But normally, color of turban has become a fashion. You know what color turban you're wearing? You wear the same color necktie, and you wear the same color of shirt, and you match everything. And so there is no particular significance to any color, but white and black were more. And this is among Muslims too. They always wear black color. That's a significance of that. I don't have any color. I am acceptable for everybody. And the same is white.
Yeah, thank you. Our next question is the food at the langar vegetarian or vegan?
It's vegetarian. Vegan is a relatively very new term because people have started with dairy and everything. This is relatively probably 25, 30, or maybe less years old. But we do not bring wine or meat or eggs. And another thing is we don't do potluck. A lot of people say, oh, you cook your food, you bring it to the temple, you cook your food, you bring it to the temple, and then everybody eats. We don't do that. We ask people to bring the ingredients. You can bring rice, you can bring flour, you can bring vegetables, you can bring other things, and then you cook it together. Now, we don't ask in our kitchen, are you a Muslim? You can cook with us. Are you a Hindu? Are you a Christian? We invite anybody. This is like a service. Anybody can come in the kitchen and share and cook the common meal. And then at the end of the service, everybody eats. So they're always vegetarian.
Thank you. Our next question is, do you have any updates about the families of the victims by any chance? How are they doing? Are they getting any help?
Right now, the situation is very tenuous. It's the people who have information is about their own relatives. And that is also through private contacts. And of course, just 30, 40 years ago, this would have been impossible. Now with the TV and WhatsApp and cell phones and media, I mean, you get instant information and back and forth. So in general, people are very connected, the families to families. So otherwise, collectively, we just hear the same thing everybody hears on the media, on the TV, on Indian TV or American networks or BBC. But there is no more information than that. And of course, they're asking for help. And Pfizer sent $70 million worth of medicine yesterday. They announced that. And some other companies, other people are also trying to help. Like I said about the oxygen, they are trying to help. That's the only information we have at this point of time.
And also in regards to families, the Sikh Coalition is providing legal help in that sense. So they're getting some support if they're working with FedEx, if they're working in terms of like making this a hate crime, they're getting that support from that organization.
And I think our respected elder Manjeet ji wants to say a few words.
Oh, you're on mute.
Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Greetings and good evening. Everybody, welcome here. I would like to say a few things, want to add few things for Sikhism. The basic principles, there are three: work hard, work honest. Sidhu Sahab already explained those a little bit. I just want to add. So, kirt karo, naam japo, vand shako. Work hard, work honest, feed your family, share with others. And the naam japo concept is for education. We can only do naam japna if we have education, if we can read, write, speak. So those three pillars, they are our backbone of our community, and that thing make us successful in the whole world. We came here, Sidhu Saab already explained, we are very successful, either we are in US, Canada, anywhere else in the world. So we work hard, we work honest, we have good manners, we help each others, and we get education, and we are successful, and we are very peaceful. So those are the only thing I would want to say. There is another concept, Sikh and soldier. We have this personality, I'm a typical Sikh, and also the philosophy our gurus gave us, not to bother anyone and not being bothered by anyone. Live a peaceful, free life. And those are the things make us successful. And we respect others and everybody respect us. But of course, there are some issues like we are talking today, what happened. So those are the things we want to make, like compare ourselves. So how we can tell others who we are, what we do. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next question is, are there Sikh temples or places of worship in Skagit or Whatcom County?
It's only in Whatcom County so far. I think Skagit County, just slowly population is growing, and Whatcom County had more population. The first temple was built on the January 1, 2000, at the start of the new millennium. On that day, we had our first service of the new temple, and now we have more than one. And yeah, but it's not in Skagit County. Marysville has one as well.
The next person says, please excuse my ignorance. Are all Punjabis Sikhs? I thought you used the terms interchangeably.
I know that is one of the many issues. They are not, all Punjabis are not Sikhs. And all Sikhs are also not Punjabis. That's also true. You know, we are spread all over the world, and people who are 4 or 5 generations in Africa, in Australia, even in South America, they speak Spanish. They are big farmers, and you can't call them they're Punjabis. Of course, Punjabi is the name of our language as well. You know, and that's how our states are. Punjab is Punjabi, based on Punjabi language. Madras is Madrasi. Bengal is Bengali. So India has 17 official languages, and all these languages have different alphabet, different script. On our $1 bill, it says 17 times $1, $1, $1, $1. So in 17 different languages. So we are concerned about 1 or 2 here. And they have survived with 17. And but yes, Punjabi is also language. Punjabi is also people coming from province of Punjab. And but there are a lot of Hindus and Muslims are, like I said, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. And of course, at the time of partition, that thing changed. But yeah, all Sikhs are not Punjabis, and all Punjabis are not Sikhs.
And I see my respected brother, Jaspreet ji, wants to also say a few words.
Sure.
Yeah, I actually just wanted to add something that's very vital to this conversation. For Sikhs, our Guru is actually not a scripture, it's not a book, it's living. Every morning we do Prakash, which is we put it on the throne in our court. I know it sounds weird, but for us, our Guru is royalty, and we treat our Gurus as such. And every evening we do service of doing Sokhasan, which is putting Guru Sahib in their resting area in Sachkhand. And so our Guru's main tenet, so the way that our scripture is kind of organized, so like the Bible has the 5, the Old Testament, then the New Testament, and then in that order, right? For the Sikhs, the system through which the Guru Granth Sahib Maharaj is set up is that it starts with actually a very short slogan, which is Ek Onkar. which is talking about the one all-pervasive, all-integrating force. Our understanding of God, whatever your name for it. So for Sikhs, we have a million different names for God, pretty much. We call him Ram, we call him Kartar, we call it Allah, we call it God. All of those names work for us because they're all ways of remembering that oneness. The name itself signifies little because to us it's all the same, because it's all one force. Whether you're looking at trees, whether I'm looking at this computer monitor, the light reflecting off my face, all of it is the divine for a Sikh. And so when it comes to our principles, it's all an exposition of that oneness, of that Ek Onkar slogan or motto, whether that be our langar, which is our communal kitchen, as Satpal Virji has been very clear about, or it be the colors that we wear. Respectfully, there is no significance to the colors. Even if you go to on Vaisakhi, the day of the creation of the Khalsa, or the harvest festival for some people, you'll see that Sikhs are wearing a multitude of colors. The colors of blue, which for the Sikhs was originally our official color, which is the idea that it's as deep as the sea and we are all droplets in that ocean, and that we're all part of the integration of that oneness and are part of that force. And just as I am a part of the depth of that ocean, just as I am an aspect of that ocean, and I might not understand that ocean completely, I am still within it. And so for the Sikhs, from the beginning of our conception of our faith to this very moment and ongoing, the ideas that we have been talking about so far, all in the spirit of oneness, that we do not see any type of discrimination. We do not see any type of hatred. We do not see a change of tone or conversation style based off of if you're familiar to us or someone that's a complete stranger. And that's also seen in the way that Jagmit Kaur so eloquently put about our dastars, that when you see a Sikh, you might see a stranger, we see an old friend. And for the Sikhs, whether that be for sharing a meal, if it's about sharing what little we have, all of it for us is of the universe. And our job is to utilize it as utility, not as ownership or that I have more, so let me help you. For the Sikhs, the idea of seva is selfless. So it's not an idea of I have more here, let me give you what I have. It's that whatever is mine is yours. And when that becomes core to our essence and transcends just our own faith, we personally don't believe in conversion, as Satpal Virji said. We believe that if you're a Muslim, live integrated in this idea of the one force, because that is Allah as well. If you're a Christian, live with that integrated force and recognize God and the divine within every human being. And when that becomes our motto for the entire world, then we see our faiths in a very different light. So Guru Nanak did not come here to just start a simple religion of Sikhi. He came here to become very, very transformative of how we treat the world and how we treat ourselves and how we perceive the world and how we interact with one another.
Thank you. That was so beautiful, Jasprit ji. So Jaswant ji, if you would help us close.
To contribute to the Guru Nanak Scholarship that supports the education of South Asian students, please contact Dr. Lunat, whose email is on the screen. We host a weekly meditation event that is free and open to the public, so please join us at 10 a.m. every Sunday and share our Zoom link with your loved ones. If you have any feedback for us, please send it to me, Priya Kumar, in the chat. Audience members, thank you for joining us this evening, and we look forward to seeing you at our weekly meditation events. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.